Hey there everybody, how are you doing? This is Rob of Rule of Two Review. Welcome back to the channel. I hope you're having a fantastic day. And today I want to catch up on a story that quite a few people have been talking about for a few days. Admittedly, I am a few days behind, but that's because I have a busy work schedule and sometimes it takes me a bit to get to these stories. But I want to talk about Nintendo and Furukawa's recent denial of some stories going around about the Switch 2 possibly being shown to developers behind closed doors at Gamescom, as well as the recent very exciting multi-screen patent that I myself discussed on a video. And apparently, he is saying none of that's real, but can we believe him? I'm not so sure, so let's talk about it. So as we continue to get ever closer to what we all think is an inevitable reveal and a confirmation of the Switch 2 or the next-gen Nintendo console, stories and rumors and leaks and made-up theories are running rampant. And you know, I've been talking about this for a few years on the channel. I think it's very exciting to imagine what Nintendo is going to do next, whether it's a continuation of the Switch or something totally different. I can't wait to see whatever their next console is going to be, and I've been excited for it for a few years, while also enjoying the current Switch as it is throughout that whole time. Now, as far as how this relates to the current story and what we're talking about today, as a lot of us already know, when Gamescom happened very recently in Germany, there was a lot of discussion and pretty believable stories coming out from some fairly legitimate sources, as far as we know, that Nintendo was, like I said in the intro here, showing development kits of the Nintendo Switch 2 or their next console to a lot of development studios behind closed doors. And part of that conversation was this 4K 60 frames per second updated version of Breath of the Wild, as well as, of course, that Matrix Unreal tech demo. And it was a very exciting prospect. I think we all got giddy thinking that this is probably true. It felt real. It made sense. It definitely lines up timing-wise. And so that was an exciting thing. But again, per today's conversation, in a recent investors call just this week, Furukawa has apparently denied that story, which again is very interesting. And I don't know if it's something that we can believe. You know, a lot of people believe him, a lot of people don't. But that, on top of the patent denial, it's all very interesting. So let's kind of take a look at what's going on here. Coming from VGC's report, here is some of what they have to say about it. Earlier this year, both Eurogamer and VGC cited sources claiming that Nintendo had privately shown tech demos for its next console to select developers behind closed doors at Gamescom in Germany. Correspondence unsealed as part of the US Federal Trade Commission's legal battle with Microsoft also suggested that Activision Blizzard had been briefed on Nintendo's next-gen console plans in late 2020. That is a huge piece to this, by the way, I just have to add, because Activision and Bobby Kotick going through the FTC legal battle and their bid to purchase, or be purchased, I should say, by Microsoft and that whole crazy thing, basically under oath, testimony confirmed that there were email conversations happening confirming the existence of the Switch 2 and Nintendo's console. So that makes Furukawa's denial of this very suspect. But anyway, moving on to these other pieces here. According to Japanese publication Mainichi, if I'm saying that correctly, Nintendo boss Furukawa denied both of these reports during a private earnings call on Tuesday, calling them inaccurate. The president is also claimed to have dismissed a recent Nintendo patent filing for a device with multiple screens and said the plans detailed were not necessarily for a future device. We are aware that patent information is published upon application. However, this does not necessarily mean that it will be featured in future products. And that last quote, of course, was Furukawa's response to everything around that patent filing for that multiple screen device that I personally think looks very cool and something that I hope eventually turns into some kind of real product. Even if it takes 10 more years, I like the idea of it. So there's a lot more to VGC's article. I'm going to link it below. Please go and read their full report and everything else going on. But these couple of snippets really kind of spell out the conversation I want to have about this today. And the fact that, like I said, there are people who believe Furukawa when he's denying all this stuff, and there are people who don't believe them. And I'm going to be honest with you and tell you that I am somebody who kind of struggles to believe him. I'm definitely leaning far more in the camp of thinking that he's not being totally truthful when he says that they weren't showing demos to developers behind closed door at Gamescom. The patent thing is actually less important to me because it is true that patents can exist and not ever be used or take a decade to even be used in something. So while it's sad to me because I liked the patent, it's also not surprising, and so I'm less concerned about that. Now, plenty of people have already brought up some very valid points when discerning whether or not we can or cannot believe Nintendo's denial of the Switch 2 stuff, the fact that it exists or being showed at Gamescom or any of that. And one of them I already touched on, right? And it came from the article, and I shared my thoughts, and it's the fact that Bobby Kotick was already basically under oath commenting during the FTC and Microsoft legal battle that there were conversations happening around Nintendo's next console. So it seems like it's something under oath we can believe that one of the biggest developers in the industry, whether you love or hate them, that's not the point. Activision is one of the biggest companies in this industry, and they, under oath, basically confirmed that they know about the existence of the Switch 2. Now, it's not surprising, we all expect that they're working on it, but once it's actually put into like word form and idea form, again under oath, the tangibility becomes more important. And so the fact that Furukawa is denying it, but also it legally was confirmed under oath, it's very, very interesting. The other point that's been discussed that I also agree with is that it's very common for companies, Nintendo included, because they've done this in the past, to deny something that's being reported only to almost immediately turn around and confirm that thing. And there is even a Nintendo example that relates to all of this, because as many of us know, they've kind of played in this territory before when it comes to the DS family and the 3DS family as far as denying something only to then turn around and discover that it's actually true. I believe it happened with either the DS to the DS Lite, or maybe it was the 3DS to the 2DS, where they denied something and then the very following day, they basically confirmed that the redesign in some way was happening. And Nintendo is by far, in a way, not the only company to do that. It's kind of, I think, the dance you have to play when you're a large company and a large corporation, and people report stories before you're ready to confirm them, and it can mess up your business plan and your financial forecasting. So they have to sometimes deny things even when they don't want to, no matter what the situation is. And looking at Nintendo, that's obviously what they had to do with the 2DS. They wanted to be the purveyors of that story, not the news and the media. And so when we apply it to this situation, is there a chance that, yes, the Switch 2 is being discussed and development kits are out there and people at Gamescom saw it behind closed doors, and that could all be true, yet Furukawa and Nintendo have to deny it currently simply because it's how it fits into their financial forecasting and their business plan right now. And while I'm not claiming to know the truth, just my feeling as a fan, a Nintendo fan and a video game fan, I kind of think that most of what we heard about Gamescom probably was true. And that I think Nintendo and Furukawa are only currently denying it, like I said, because they kind of have to so that they can be more in control of the narrative, even though it's already being discussed anyway. And so what this means for the immediate future, we don't technically know, but it's pretty clear that I think across the industry, across the internet, when you're looking at the conversations people are having online or on Twitter, on YouTube, other YouTubers, my own YouTube videos about this topic, most of us are pretty much believing that the reveal of the next console is sometime soon. I would say within the next 6 months, most of us probably think it's going to be revealed. And there's even that small sliver of a chance that it releases before like the end of the summer in 2024. You know, maybe it releases in the first half of the year. I go back and forth on that. You know, I've been making my own predictions for a few years on when I thought we would see the thing, and it's pretty obvious to me that those predictions are going to be wrong. I don't think we're going to see it before the end of 2023, that's for sure. We only have like 7 weeks before the year is over. Like, I just don't see them doing that. But as far as revealing it in the first half of 2024, it sure makes sense to me, and most people seem to think that. So as far as Furukawa just denying this stuff and whatever did or didn't happen at Gamescom and whatever the status of these development kits are, we don't know, but I just don't see a world where we don't learn about this thing in an official capacity. Not a leak or a rumor and whatever kind of theories are out there, but Nintendo themselves saying something real and tangible, if not even just outright showing to us what the next console is going to be. I think it is in the next 6 months. And I feel like, to use the analogy I used earlier, right now, Nintendo and Furukawa are just doing the business dance. They're engaged in the dance of when do we confirm what, When do we deny this? When do we show that? When do we reveal that thing? When do we release this thing? You know, they're just playing the corporate business dance of being a company that a lot of media outlets and YouTubers, including myself, we talk about these things. We report on these things. People make up things. People, you know, leak real things. It's such a messy thing, but it's also fun to discuss, and Nintendo knows that. They can't stop people from discussing what may or may not be true. They know the truth, and I think they want to be in charge of the messaging, which is why they might be willing to deny something that's otherwise totally true. So the next probably 3 to 6 months is going to reveal what's actually going on here, and to me, I can't wait to learn what that's going to be. So this is kind of the summary of my thoughts. I'll be very curious to see what you guys think and what your takeaway is from all of this. Again, I know a lot of other YouTubers and outlets have already covered this. I'm a couple days behind, and I don't really mind that, because I still wanted to share my thoughts, and I find it very interesting, because I can't wait to see what happens with the Switch too. Like, I love the Switch, but the idea of a next-gen Nintendo console with more power and whatever kooky controller idea they introduce, I can't wait to see it, man. So, you know, share your kind of takeaway from all of this below. Feel free to subscribe to the channel, of course, if you're not already. I'm kind of try to refocus my efforts here a little bit over the course of the next few months and try to focus a little bit more on growing, because I've been on a slower cadence for a while now in 2023. I want to try to rededicate a little bit here. So if you like my breakdown and my chat here, then definitely consider subscribing. But beyond that, that's how I feel. Share your thoughts, and that's about it.